what is your least favorite thing
God.
about being a YouTuber?
That's a good question. Well, I think there's kind of two answers here. The first is when people, like in the mainstream media and just like your average person, maybe your dad, hears the word, this person is a YouTuber, there is kind of this negative association about being a YouTuber. And I think a lot of that roots back to Logan Paul when he had that Suicide Forest controversy, and it was widespread, splashed across all mainstream media that said like YouTuber, goes into Suicide Forest.
So
And
there's like this media trope that the media loves covering stories about YouTubers when they mess up. So YouTubers can do amazing things like, raise $1 million for cancer research or pay for people to go to school and pay their tuition, and that's not going to get media attention. But someone, fucking up and, showing a dead body in a vlog is
Right.
going to get national attention. A bunch of kids, YouTubers, influencers having a party in California in the height of a pandemic, that's going to get news
Yeah.
coverage in a way too, right? So yeah, we always have to fight with this being associated with that broader conception of what it means to be a YouTuber.
And I remember after that Logan Paul stuff happened, someone at work like said, "Is that what you do? You do YouTube?"
Is that what you do? Film dead
Because,
bodies?
well, like they don't, no, they didn't mean that, but
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like in the media they'd recently seen like YouTuber does this awful thing, and they're like, wait, you do YouTube, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but I do a totally different kind of show.
Yeah.
So I guess that's one thing that, having that underlying negative connotation that the rest of the non-YouTube world kind of associates with being a YouTuber is something that kind of sucks, and I wish wasn't blanket applied to all of us.
Okay.
And then the other thing is, I guess it's more related to being a celebrity. That's such a weird word.
Okay, narcissist.
No,
You're a public figure.
I am a public figure according to Facebook. And having millions of people who know who you are, I guess, has taken a toll on me, and I believe it does anyone who's in a similar position, especially if you're an introvert and not someone who was necessarily seeking all this fame. And that doesn't mean I'm not grateful for it and, extremely happy and just proud and happy that I was able to, find all these people who share the same joy about nail polish or hollow or entertainment or whatever it is that I do online. That being said, everyone knowing who you are and kind of expecting a response from you on certain things, or wanting to know what you're doing, or if you suddenly go offline for a couple days, everyone's asking you what's wrong, and people leap to conclusions about things or make assumptions about you based on not very much. And this kind of fear of maybe being noticed in public in a situation where you might feel uncomfortable to be noticed in public. And I think I have a good example of this. I wonder if I said this before when I came back from the doctor's office once.
I'm not sure if you talked about this.
Okay, maybe I will. I can't remember sometimes if we have these conversations between us or if we said them on the podcast.
Yeah.
So, like, first of all, I love when you guys have come up to me in the past, or when we've met you at VidCon, or, these big conventions where that's what I'm there for. I'm there to meet people. But occasionally in my personal daily life, there's been some instances where I just like wasn't in the mindset of meeting fans, right? Like I'm just living my life getting groceries or something. And it can make someone who's an introvert really uncomfortable to have that just like come upon you, surprise, right? Because that's not my baseline personality, isn't to be like, oh my God, hello, let's hug.
Yeah.
So this was pre-corona a few years ago, but I had gone to the doctors to have like a mole removed from my leg.
Sure.
There is no issue with the mole. Everything is fine. But I had it removed, and the doctor put a Band-Aid on, and then I went to Michael's, which is like an arts and crafts store, because I was picking out supplies for shooting something. I don't even remember. And then I noticed that my leg was bleeding, and I was wearing lighter colored pants, so it was bleeding through my pant.
Okay.
because it had the Band-Aid ripped, and then it was just
Yeah.
bleeding. And then I was alone, but I was carrying all the stuff. So I like had to put all the stuff on the ground, and I look down the hallway or the aisle, and I see someone taking pictures of me, like a young girl. And I look at her like confused.
Yeah.
And then they clearly knew who I was.
Well,
I obviously, like, why else would she be taking pictures of me? And so she kept
here's
running.
just some random lady
No.
bleeding in Michael's.
When she saw, I don't think she saw, like, at first
Sure,
that I was
okay.
bleeding. She didn't, she would have been too far. But it made me extremely uncomfortable. And she kept coming back. And I all of a sudden was like hyperventilating, not knowing what to do because I was now fully bleeding down my leg.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to cry. And I was trying to hold all this stuff. So I put all the stuff back, didn't even buy anything, and was just like holding one of my pant legs up and trying to scrunch up where all the blood was. Because like it looked like I got shot in the leg. Like it was really bad. It was how much it was bleeding. It didn't hurt at all.
What is that doctor doing that they're not bandaging that
I think
properly?
when you cut something, like when you cut a mole off, it can have like there's a lot of skin that was removed, like because you have to go somewhat deep.
Yeah.
So it doesn't hurt, like it didn't hurt at all, but it's just like not a good area to cut because then it just keeps bleeding and you have to keep constant pressure on it. And maybe she just didn't put a great Band-Aid on and it kind of burst. Anyways, so it made me so uncomfortable that she was just taking pictures of me and like not saying anything, but I also didn't want her to come up to me while I was like bleeding down my leg. So I just remember being very flustered and uncomfortable that I even had to think about that when I was in such a situation.
Yeah, and from that kid's perspective, they're just like, here's a YouTuber I like.
Yeah,
I want a picture so I can prove to my friends I saw her in real life.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure that girl had no idea, like, why maybe I was so weird and flustered. But, you know, I'm a human, so some things happen, and sometimes I have a bad day or, you know, things that not fans necessarily always know about. So it really freaks me out sometimes that not knowing when I'm walking down the street or I'm doing groceries or I'm just like living my life and maybe I'm in a bad mood, that someone at any point could be just taking a picture of me.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. The idea of someone taking a picture without your knowledge is one of like the sort of, it sounds innocuous, but it's actually one of like the creepier things because you just think about it all the time. And
Yeah.
like we're out for dinner once and we noticed someone was just taking pictures of us. And it's like, whatever, we're just eating. But it's just like, we just want to go on like a little date and eat dinner and not worry that someone's taking pictures to post on the internet too, you know?
And then in response to this, I know people are going to come up with the criticism like, well, you're famous, so what do you expect?
You asked for this.
You asked for this. Like, well, why'd you get famous then? Like, this is what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a fair thing to say.
No, at the same time, like, it's not the end of the world. It's not like complaining about it too much does seem a little sort of out of touch as well, I think.
Yeah, and I don't mean to complain. I'm very grateful for the fact that people know who I am because of my videos and they've supported me. I guess when I think of this one incident where I was bleeding, like that was really not a moment that I wanted to be captured on video, especially without even talking to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's very fair. All right. That was a little heavy. Let's move on.
I need some tea now.